All right, welcome in everyone, kicking off another deep dive here. And today we're going to try to unpack something that I feel like I'm seeing everywhere. It seems like everybody is talking about it. The 5 a.m. morning routine.
Yeah. Seems to be all the rage these days.
It really does. So you've pulled some really interesting material on this. And, what we really want to do is figure out together. Is this really like a secret weapon for success and productivity? Or is this like more of a kind of widespread myth that we all just keep repeating?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think the stuff you sent over really highlights just how much this concept has kind of taken hold. Mm-hmm. We've got these influential books like Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club. We see all these stories from entrepreneurs and CEOs who are like swearing by those super early hours.
Hey, like, is this the key?
That's what they want us to think, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the fundamental idea that the sources are pointing to is that if you can seize that quiet time before everyone else is up, you can really get a head start on the day.
I see. So it's like you're getting that focus time for yourself, for self-improvement, and building momentum early. Like, are we saying that this is like a proven thing?
Well, that's what we're going to try to unpack. Yeah. There's certainly a lot of appeal to the idea, right?
For sure. Okay, so let's get into that then. Why is this idea of waking up at 5 a.m. so appealing to so many people? I mean, what is it about those pre-dawn hours that seems to resonate so much?
Right. Well, the material you've got highlights a couple of key elements that are really interesting. So first off, there's that promise of peace and quiet. It's like this sacred stretch of uninterrupted time before the day's demands really start to kick in.
Before the emails and the phone calls and all the noise starts. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's something I think a lot of us crave, right? Like just a little bit of stillness before the chaos descends.
I think almost everyone would agree with that. That sounds pretty nice, actually.
Right. And what this allows for, according to the research, is a really intentional start to the day. Instead of immediately reacting to messages or other people's agendas, you've got this space to proactively engage in activities that really nurture your well-being and help you set your own intentions for the day ahead.
So it's about more than just like avoiding distractions. It's about actually taking control and being proactive. Interesting.
Yeah. It's about saying, this is my time. I'm going to use it to set myself up for success.
I like that. And it seems like from the stuff you've sent over, it's not just about the silence.
Right.
It's also about making time for self-care.
Absolutely. And that's a huge piece of this whole 5 a.m. routine phenomenon. The material really emphasizes that these early hours are prime time for those activities that nourish us. Exercise, journaling, meditation, or even just focused planning without the usual interruptions.
It's like carving out a space just for yourself before the world comes knocking, right?
Exactly. It's like creating this little sanctuary where you can prioritize your own well-being.
I'm starting to see the appeal here. I got to be honest.
Right. And there's another angle to this that I think is worth mentioning.
Okay, what's that?
Well, a lot of the sources point to this idea that our willpower or, our cognitive resources, our mental energy is usually at its highest earlier in the day.
Interesting. Like before we get bogged down with decisions and stress and stuff.
Exactly. So the thinking is that if you can tackle your most important habits or those more challenging tasks first thing in the morning, you're essentially leveraging that peak mental energy for things that truly matter to you.
Okay. So you're getting a head start on those things that you might otherwise procrastinate on later in the day.
Precisely. And that's why proponents of the 5 a.m. routine argue it's such a powerful tool for building consistency with those habits you want to cultivate.
I see. But this is where I feel like things get kind of tricky. And the material you sent highlights this really important point. Just setting your alarm for 5 a.m., that doesn't automatically guarantee success.
Right. And that's a crucial distinction that the research makes very clear. It's not the specific hour that holds some magical power. The real magic, if you want to call it that, lies in the activities you actually engage in during those early hours.
So just being awake early isn't enough.
Nope. It's about what you do at that time.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a focused and intentional approach to how you use those early hours. Otherwise, it's just an early start to a potentially unfocused day.
Right. And you've got to make sure that that early wake-up call isn't making you, sleep deprived throughout the day.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another really important point that the material addresses head on. This whole 5 a.m. routine, it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. It's almost become this, idealized standard, like everyone should be doing it.
It has, hasn't it?
But if it's not working for you and you're forcing yourself into this rigid schedule, especially if you're naturally more of a night owl, you're probably doing more harm than good.
Exactly. The research is very clear on this. It points to the importance of understanding our individual biological rhythms, what are sometimes referred to as chronotypes. Some of us are naturally wired to be more alert in the morning, others are more productive later in the day, and ignoring those natural rhythms can really backfire.
So trying to be a 5 a.m. person when your body's telling you something different is a recipe for burnout. Got it.
Exactly. And this is where prioritizing sleep quality becomes absolutely essential. The research really stresses that adequate sleep is paramount for our overall health, our ability to focus, our performance throughout the day. And if you're sacrificing necessary sleep just to chase an early start, you might be negating any potential advantages you could gain.
So, this is a big takeaway for me already. It's not just about the time. It's got to be what works for you and your body.
Absolutely. You've got to listen to your own internal cues.
Makes sense. Okay, so if 5 a.m. isn't the universal answer, what is a more effective approach based on the materials you've been looking at?
Well, one concept that comes up a lot is this idea of finding your own power time. So instead of trying to conform to a specific hour that someone else recommends, the key is to really pay attention to your own body's natural rhythms. When do you genuinely feel the most focused, the most energized, the most mentally sharp?
So it's about paying attention to your own internal clock.
Exactly. And what's really interesting about this approach is that it shifts the emphasis away from a prescribed time and towards a more personalized understanding of when you naturally experience peak focus and energy.
Right. So whether your power time is 5 a.m., 7 a.m., or even later, that's when you should be aiming to get your most important work done.
That's the idea. The research suggests that working in sync with your natural energy cycles can be far more effective than trying to fight against them.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of when your personal power time might be, the material also offers some really practical advice for designing an effective morning routine. It's not just about the time. It's also about how you structure those initial moments of your day.
Absolutely. And a key point that comes up again and again is the importance of being intentional right from the start. Avoiding those almost automatic distractions, like immediately grabbing your phone and getting sucked into social media.
It's so easy to do, though. It's the first thing I reach for in the morning, too.
Right. But the research suggests that if we can resist that urge and instead start our day with a clear purpose, it can make a huge difference.
Actually thinking about what you want to accomplish or engage with during your morning.
Exactly. What do you want to achieve today? What are your priorities? Taking a few moments to reflect on those questions can help you set a much more focused and productive tone for the whole day.
Okay, I like that. And another thing the material talks about is consistency.
Yes, consistency is key. Establishing a regular morning routine, whenever it begins, can be incredibly powerful. It helps train your mind and body to get into a positive rhythm and reinforces those healthy habits you want to cultivate.
Right, so even if it's not 5 a.m., having some kind of consistent routine is still super beneficial.
Exactly. It's about creating that structure and predictability that your mind and body can rely on.
Okay. And maybe the most important takeaway from all of this, and something that the research really emphasizes, is that your morning routine needs to be deeply personalized. It should include activities that truly align with your individual goals and the things you want to cultivate in your life.
Couldn't agree more. And that's what makes this so exciting. Your morning routine isn't about conforming to some external standard. It's about creating a structure that supports you and your aspirations.
Right. So whether it's reading, journaling, some gentle stretching, getting outside for a walk, or diving into creative work, the key is that it resonates with you and feels good.
Absolutely. And that's where the magic happens. When you create a routine that feels authentic to you, you're much more likely to stick with it and reap the benefits.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all. It's got to be tailored to your own needs and preferences. That makes perfect sense.
And what's really helpful, and I think this is something worth highlighting from the material, is that there are some really specific frameworks that can guide you in building this personalized routine.
Oh, yeah. Are there actual step-by-step things?
There are. One that comes up quite a bit is this idea of the 20-20-20 formula. You've probably heard of this.
Yeah, I think I have heard of that. Remind me.
Okay, so this formula is often attributed to Robin Sharma, that 5 a.m. club guy. And it's actually a really simple but powerful structure for that first hour of your day,
Yeah.
regardless of when it actually begins.
Okay, yeah, tell me more.
So the idea is that you dedicate those first 60 minutes to 3 distinct 20-minute blocks. So the first 20 minutes is all about movement.
Okay.
Some form of physical activity to wake up your body and get your blood flowing.
So like exercise or yoga or, going for a run, something like that.
Exactly. Whatever gets you moving and feeling energized. Then the second 20 minutes is dedicated to reflection. This could be meditation, journaling, just sitting quietly with your thoughts, whatever helps you cultivate that inner stillness and clarity.
So like taking some time to just kind of check in with yourself.
Exactly. To process your thoughts and emotions and set your intentions for the day. And then the final 20 minutes is all about learning.
Oh. Wow.
Engaging in some kind of personal development activity, whether that's reading, listening to a podcast, taking an online course, whatever helps you expand your knowledge and grow as a person.
So you're starting with the body, moving to the mind, and then expanding outward.
That's a great way to put it. And what's really cool about this 20-20-20 framework is its adaptability. It provides a structure that can be tailored to fit different lifestyles and preferences no matter what time your morning actually begins.
Yeah, you could start at 5 a.m., you could start at 8 a.m., doesn't really matter as long as you're hitting those 3 key areas.
Exactly. And those 3 areas, physical well-being, mental clarity, and intellectual growth, are all crucial for setting yourself up for a successful and fulfilling day.
It's like a recipe for a well-rounded morning, basically.
I like that. And what the research suggests is that by intentionally incorporating those elements into your morning routine, you can create a really powerful foundation for the day ahead.
Okay. So if we zoom out a little bit and think about everything we've discussed so far, it seems like the real takeaway here, the most important point, is that it's not really about the specific number on the clock. It's about something much more fundamental.
Right. It's about taking ownership of your time and consciously choosing how you want to begin your day.
Like making a decision about how you want to feel and how you want to show up, rather than just letting the day happen to you.
Exactly. And this mindset shift, as the material describes it, is really crucial. It's about moving from a reactive posture to a more proactive one. When you intentionally shape those first moments of your day, you set a powerful tone for everything that follows.
It's like you're saying, this is my day, I'm going to make it count.
Exactly. And that sense of ownership and intentionality can be incredibly empowering. It's about feeling in control and directing your energy, rather than being swept along by external pressures and demands.
Okay, so let's do a little recap here. From all the material you've gathered, what are the key takeaways about this whole 5 a.m. morning routine thing?
Sure. So first off, we've seen that the 5 a.m. routine has gained a lot of popularity. And it definitely offers some potential advantages, like that increased quiet time, dedicated space for self-improvement, and potentially higher willpower early in the day.
Right. There are definitely some good things about it.
Absolutely. But, and this is a big but, it's definitely not a universal magic bullet for success. The effectiveness of a 5 a.m. routine really depends on the activities you actually fill those early hours with.
Right. And you have to be mindful of your sleep needs.
Exactly. Sacrificing sleep to wake up early can actually be counterproductive.
Totally. So it seems like the real power lies in crafting a morning routine that truly aligns with your individual lifestyle, your natural energy rhythms, and your personal goals.
Absolutely. The specific time you wake up is less significant than the intentionality and consistency you bring to those initial moments of your day.
I love that. So what are some of the core components of a successful morning, regardless of the time?
Well, the research highlights a few key elements. Being deliberate about how you start your day, avoiding those mindless distractions, maintaining consistency in your routine, and personalizing it to include activities that genuinely support your well-being and your goals.
Right, so things like movement, reflection, and some form of growth or learning.
Exactly. And we talked about that 20-20-20 formula as one potential framework for incorporating those elements.
Yeah, that was a really good one. So ultimately, it's about taking control of your time and starting your day on your own terms. That sense of ownership and intentionality is what really sets the stage for a more focused and fulfilling day.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's about creating a morning routine that empowers you and sets you up for success.
Okay, so drawing on all this great information you've shared, what's a practical challenge we can leave our listeners with?
I love that. How about this? Forget about the 5 a.m. hype for a moment. Instead, take some time to design your own ideal morning routine without getting fixated on a specific start time.
That's great. So really think about how you want to begin your day and what activities would best support your well-being and help you achieve your goals.
Exactly. And then the research suggests actually implementing this personalized routine for a week or so and just observing how it impacts your energy levels, your focus, your overall sense of well-being.
Yeah, like really pay attention to what feels good and what makes you feel more prepared for the day ahead.
Absolutely. It's about finding what works for you and creating a morning routine that truly nourishes and supports you.
And on that note, here's a final thought for you to ponder. If the true power lies in intentionally shaping those first moments of your day, what small personalized step can you take tomorrow morning to set yourself up for a more focused and fulfilling day, no matter what time your alarm goes off?
That's a great question to reflect on, and I think the answer might surprise you.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
I really enjoyed it.